The great space station hung in the black sky like a shining star. It was huge and bright, floating silently near a blue and green planet. This station was home to many alien species. It was a place of power, where important leaders met to make decisions about the galaxy. Today, it was the scene of a special event, a gathering of young nobles from many worlds. Among them was Prince Zirak. He was only 22 years old, but he already acted like he ruled the whole galaxy. Zirak was tall, with shining silver skin and sharp green eyes. His crown sparkled on his head. He walked proudly, knowing everyone watched him. His voice was loud and clear, full of pride. To him, all the other species were beneath him, especially humans. Far from Zirak's group, a small figure entered the grand hall. It was a human named Ethan. Unlike the aliens around him, Ethan looked plain. He wore simple clothes, and his face was calm and steady. He was not a prince or a warrior. He was a messenger from Earth, a young man sent to represent humanity. The aliens looked at Ethan and whispered among themselves. Many laughed quietly. Humans were new to space travel. Earth was not yet a powerful world like some others. Ethan seemed weak and strange to the aliens. He had no shining armor or strange powers. To them, he was nothing special. Prince Zirak noticed Ethan right away. He smiled a cold smile and decided to make fun of the human in front of everyone. It would be easy, he thought. He would show the crowd how small and weak humans really were. The room was full of bright lights and strange sounds. Aliens of many shapes and sizes filled the space. Some had many arms, some had no eyes, and others had glowing skin. They all looked at Ethan with curiosity and amusement. Zirak stepped forward and raised his voice. "Look at this human," he said loudly, his voice carrying across the room. "He is here to represent a planet that barely knows how to fly a ship. Does anyone think he can stand among us?" The crowd laughed. Some made rude noises. Ethan did not smile or respond. He only stood still and watched. Zirak continued. "Tell me, human, what do you know of our history, our power, our technology? Do you understand even the smallest part of what we do?" Ethan took a slow breath. He looked at Zirak's proud face, but he did not answer. He did not shout back. He said nothing. The young prince laughed. "Silence. What a weak response. You are nothing here." The crowd laughed louder. Many began to shout insults at Ethan. But the human remained calm. After a moment, Ethan turned his back to the crowd. Without a word, he walked away from the gathering. The room grew quiet. The aliens stared in surprise. Why did the human leave without fighting? Why did he not show fear or anger? Many thought he was a coward. Zirak was angry but also curious. He had never met a human who did not argue or beg. This quiet strength was strange. He felt a small sting in his pride, but quickly pushed it away. Later, Ethan found a quiet place on the station. He looked out the large window at the stars. He thought about his home planet, Earth. It was small, and its technology was not as bright or fast as other worlds. But humans had something different, something no machine could copy. Ethan remembered the stories his people told. Humans survived by learning, by thinking in new ways. They worked together and never gave up. They could change and grow in ways aliens could not understand. Meanwhile, Prince Zirak spoke with his advisors. They told him to ignore the human and to focus on bigger matters. But Zirak's mind kept returning to Ethan. The human's silence was not weakness. It was something else, something deep. The prince decided he would learn more about this strange human. He would watch and wait. Maybe the human had a secret power. As the great station continued to float in space, two very different beings prepared for a new challenge. One was proud and loud, the other quiet and steady. Neither knew that their meeting was only the beginning of a story that would change the galaxy forever. The large hall of the space station was still buzzing from the strange moment when Ethan, the human, had turned and walked away in silence. The crowd of alien nobles had never seen such calm from a being they thought so weak. Many whispered among themselves, trying to understand what had just happened. Prince Zirak was not used to being ignored. His pride was bruised. He decided that silence was not enough. If the human was to be here, he would make sure everyone knew exactly how small and weak Earth really was. The next day, a new gathering was called. This time, all the young nobles from the galaxy came to watch. They expected a show, a fight of words and power between Prince Zirak and the quiet human. Ethan arrived again, calm and steady as before. He wore the same simple clothes. He did not look nervous, even though all eyes were on him. Prince Zirak stood before the crowd, his silver skin shining under the bright lights. His green eyes burned with pride. Zirak began to speak, his voice loud and clear. Let us speak honestly today. This human represents a world that is barely known to us. Earth is slow, primitive, and small. Their ships are weak, their weapons are weak, and their minds are no match for the galaxy's greatest leaders. The crowd laughed loudly, some jeering at Ethan. But Ethan did not react. He looked straight ahead, his calm eyes showing no fear. Prince Zirak took a step closer to Ethan. Tell me, human, he said, how does your planet expect to survive in a galaxy full of power? How do you fight against stronger races? Your history is short, your wars are small, and your technology is old. Ethan remained silent. He did not answer the insults. He only waited. Zirak's voice grew louder. You say nothing? Are you afraid? Or do you simply lack the strength to fight? The crowd shouted. Many raised their hands, shouting insults at the human. Some called him weak. Others laughed at his small body and simple clothes. But Ethan did not move. He did not raise his voice. He simply stood there, calm and steady. His silence spoke louder than words. After some moments, Ethan turned and began to walk away again. The crowd expected him to run or shout, but no. He walked with calm dignity, his head held high. The aliens were shocked. This human was not what they thought. Some said he was weak. Others said he was strange. But no one could say he was afraid. Prince Zirak's face turned red with anger. How could this human ignore him? How could he refuse to fight back? Later, in his private chambers, Zirak paced. He spoke to his closest advisors. This human is unlike any other. He does not fight with words or weapons. What kind of power does he have? His advisors shrugged. He is only a human, Your Highness, small and weak. It is strange, but there is no power here. Zirak was not convinced. His pride would not allow it. We will see. He will have to show his strength. Meanwhile, Ethan returned to his own quarters. He sat quietly and thought about the events of the day. He knew the aliens judged him because humans were new to the stars. They thought Earth was weak, but they did not know the truth. Earth was different. Humans had survived many dangers. They had learned to be patient, to think deeply, and to work together. They had no great weapons or fast ships yet, but their minds were strong. Ethan thought about the future. He knew that humans had to be careful. The galaxy was full of danger and pride, but he also knew that silence and calm could be a powerful weapon. Back in the Great Hall, the young nobles continued to talk about the human. Some laughed, some were curious, but all wondered what would come next. Prince Zirak prepared himself. He decided that silence was not enough. He would find a way to show the human and everyone else that aliens were stronger. But deep inside, a small voice told him to be careful. This human was different. He was not like the others. The space station hummed with life. The stars shone outside the great windows. Two very different beings stood ready, one full of pride, the other full of quiet strength. The story was only beginning. The days passed slowly on the great space station. Prince Xerac still could not forget the human named Ethan. The prince's pride told him to dismiss the human, but his mind was curious. Why did Ethan stay so calm? Why did he say so little? It was strange for someone who was being mocked so openly. Meanwhile, Ethan moved quietly around the station. He did not join the loud conversations or the displays of power. Instead, he spent his time in the library and meeting a few trusted friends. To many, he seemed simple and unimportant. But Ethan knew the truth. Earth was hiding something. The humans had learned a secret long ago. Their technology was not flashy or fast like other alien worlds. They had no giant warships or glowing weapons. Instead, they focused on something different: intelligence and adaptability. Ethan told one of his closest allies, a wise alien named Lyra, about Earth's true strength. "We do not fight like others," Ethan said quietly. "We survive because we can think quickly. We can change when needed. We learn from every challenge." Lyra listened carefully. She had never met a human before. "Your people are small, but you speak as if your minds are strong." Ethan nodded. "We have no choice. Our world was once very dangerous. We survived by working together. We built tools and ideas, not just weapons." Lyra smiled. "That is something rare. Many races depend on power alone." Ethan's eyes grew serious. "That is why I came here. Not to fight, but to show that humans have value, that we are not weak." News of Ethan's calm confidence soon reached Prince Xerac's ears. The young prince was both angry and intrigued. He decided to watch the human more closely. If Ethan truly had strength, Xerac wanted to see it for himself. One evening, during a grand feast on the station, Prince Xerac approached Ethan. The hall was full of music, bright colors, and strange foods. The nobles wore elegant clothes and showed off their power. Xerac looked at Ethan with a mix of pride and challenge. "Human," he said, "I have heard strange things about you, that you are smart and strong in ways we do not understand. If this is true, then prove it." Ethan smiled gently. "I do not want to prove myself with words or fights. Let our actions speak." Xerac's green eyes sparkled. "Then I challenge you to a contest, a test of minds and skills. No weapons, no armies, just your brain against mine." The crowd grew quiet. A contest between the proud prince and the quiet human? It was unexpected. Ethan nodded. "I accept." The challenge was set for the next day. The station prepared a special arena. It was a simulated world, a place to test intelligence, strategy, and diplomacy. The challenge would be watched by many nobles, eager to see who would win. The next morning, Ethan and Xerac entered the arena. It was a large space filled with holograms and controls. The goal was to solve problems, create alliances, and show leadership. At the start, Xerac moved quickly. He used his knowledge of technology and politics. He shouted orders and made fast decisions. The crowd cheered his bold moves. Ethan watched carefully. He did not rush. Instead, he studied the problems slowly, thinking deeply. He looked for patterns and ways to use small advantages. As the contest continued, Ethan surprised many. He found simple but clever solutions. He used ideas that no one expected. His calm mind stayed focused, even when the challenges grew harder. Xerac grew frustrated. He was used to winning by strength and speed, but Ethan's quiet intelligence was different. It was patient and careful. It was strong in a way Xerac had never seen. The nobles watching began to whisper. The human was not weak. He was smart. He was a new kind of power. Hours passed. The contest grew more difficult. Zyrak tried to trick Ethan with complex puzzles and political traps. But Ethan stayed calm. He used his knowledge of human teamwork and trust to win allies in the simulation. At last, the contest ended. The judges tallied the results. Ethan had won. The crowd was silent for a moment, then broke into applause. The human had done what no one expected. Prince Zyrak's face was red. He bowed his head, not with pride, but with respect. Ethan smiled, quietly. "I do not want to humiliate anyone," he said. "I only want to show that humans have something special, that we are not just simple creatures." Zyrak nodded slowly. "I see that now. Your silence was not weakness. It was strength." The two looked at each other, the proud prince and the quiet human. A new understanding was forming between them. The story on the great space station was changing. The young alien royal had learned. That power was not always loud or fast. Sometimes it was calm and patient, and Ethan, the human, had shown that Earth's future was bright, even if it was still small. The great space station was alive with excitement. News had spread quickly. Ethan, the quiet human, had won the contest of minds against Prince Zyrak, the proud alien royal. Many were surprised. Some were impressed. Others refused to believe. It was true. Prince Zyrak's pride was hurt, but he did not show it. Instead, he planned his next move carefully. He was not ready to accept defeat. The prince wanted to test Ethan again, this time in a challenge that would use not only brains, but also courage and leadership. The challenge was announced in the Great Hall. The young nobles gathered once more, eager to watch. This time, the contest would take place in a real environment, a newly discovered planet with strange dangers and hidden resources. Ethan and Zyrak would each lead a small team to explore the planet. Their goal was to find valuable resources and solve problems that might appear. The winner would be the one who used strategy and skill to succeed first. The planet was wild and unknown. Its thick forests were full of strange sounds. The air was heavy and fresh. The sky was a deep purple, and two suns shone faintly through the clouds. Ethan's team was small but strong. He chose a group of trusted friends, humans and aliens who respected his calm and steady nature. Zyrak's team was larger and full of young nobles, confident and ready to show their power. Before the challenge began, Zyrak looked at Ethan and said, "This time you cannot hide behind your silence. Show us what you really can do." Ethan smiled quietly. "I do not hide. I only watch and think." The teams landed on the planet's surface. The ground was soft and wet. Strange plants moved gently in the breeze. The challenge began. Zyrak's team moved fast. They used advanced technology to scan the land looking for valuable minerals and water sources. They shouted orders and quickly set up equipment. Zyrak wanted to impress the crowd with speed and power. Ethan's team moved slowly. They watched the animals and plants carefully. They studied the land, looking for signs and clues. Ethan knew. The planet was full of secrets, and rushing would cause mistakes. Soon, Zyrak's team found a large deposit of crystals deep in a cave. The prince smiled proudly. "We have the prize," he said to his team. "Let's return and claim victory." But Ethan shook his head. "Not so fast. There is more here than crystals." Ethan led his team to a river. The water was clear but moving fast. The river's path was blocked by fallen trees and rocks. Ethan saw that the river could be dangerous, but also that it was a source of fresh water, something more valuable than crystals. The team worked together to clear a path. They used simple tools and careful planning. They moved slowly but surely. The animals around watched silently. Back at the cave, Zyrak's team prepared to leave with their crystals. Suddenly, the ground shook. A loud rumble filled the air. The cave's walls began to crack. Zyrak shouted, "Move! We must escape!" The crystals began to fall from the ceiling. Rocks blocked the way out. Zirak's team was trapped. Meanwhile, Ethan's team reached a high hill overlooking the cave. From there, Ethan saw the danger below. He sent a message to Zirak. "The cave is not safe. You must find another way." Zirak scowled but had no choice. He sent his team to search for a new path. Ethan used the river's water to make a simple raft. He and his team crossed the river to find the cave's other side. They helped Zirak's trapped team escape safely. The nobles watching the challenge were amazed. The human had not only found resources, but also saved his rival's team. This was unexpected. Zirak's pride struggled with the new truth. Ethan's calm and careful leadership had saved them. The prince could not ignore it. After the teams returned to the station, a new respect grew between the two. Zirak approached Ethan privately. "You are different than I thought. Your strength is quiet but real." Ethan nodded. "Sometimes, the greatest power is in patience and care, not in noise and speed." The two shook hands. The challenge had ended, but a new friendship was beginning. The great space station was no longer just a place of power and pride. It was a place where different worlds could learn from each other. And Earth's place in the galaxy was growing stronger, not through weapons or noise, but through quiet courage and wise thinking. The great space station was buzzing with excitement after the challenge on the strange planet. Ethan, the quiet human, had proven more than just cleverness. He had shown courage, calmness, and the ability to lead in real danger. Prince Zirak's pride was still strong, but a new feeling grew inside him, respect mixed with doubt. The young nobles were divided. Some admired Ethan's calm strength, others whispered that the prince had been careless. The alien leaders began to wonder what this human could do next, but Zirak was not ready to accept that the story was over. He still believed in the power of his people. He decided to make one last attempt to prove that humans were weak beneath their calm. He called Ethan to a private meeting. The place was quiet, away from the noise of the station. The walls glowed softly, and the stars shone through the large windows. "Human," Zirak said with a hard voice, "you have done well, but this is not the end. I will offer you one last challenge, a test of will and strength that cannot be won by calmness alone." Ethan looked at Zirak quietly. "I accept." Zirak smiled coldly. "Good. Tomorrow we face the Trial of Shadows." The Trial of Shadows was a dangerous test that few had survived. It was a maze of dark tunnels filled with traps and puzzles. The goal was to reach the center and retrieve a glowing crystal. The test was made to challenge every part of a being's strength, mind, body, and spirit. The next day, the two stood before the dark entrance of the maze. The crowd gathered, watching closely. The air was tense. Zirak stepped inside first, confident and strong. His green eyes shone in the dark as he moved quickly. He used his skills to avoid traps and solve puzzles fast. His pride drove him forward. Ethan followed calmly. He did not rush. Instead, he moved carefully, listening to every sound and watching every shadow. He knew the maze was designed to trick the mind and body. Inside, the tunnels twisted and turned. Strange noises echoed. The light from the crystals on the walls flickered. Sometimes shadows seemed to move on their own. Zirak reached a room filled with spinning blades. He jumped and dodged quickly, his training helping him avoid danger. But the speed made him tired. He grew impatient. Ethan moved slowly through the blades. He watched their patterns and waited for the right moment. His patience saved him from harm. Deeper inside, Zirak faced a puzzle, a door with strange symbols. He tried to guess the answer quickly. When he was wrong, the floor shook and spikes rose from below. He barely escaped. Ethan studied the symbols carefully. He thought about their meaning and found the right answer. The door opened smoothly. The maze tested them in many ways: darkness, fear, pain. Zirak grew angry and tired. Ethan stayed calm and steady. At one point, Zyrak was trapped in a room with no visible exit. He shouted and tried to force a way out. The walls closed in slowly. Ethan arrived and saw the prince in danger. Instead of competing, he helped. Using his knowledge, he found a secret door and freed Zyrak. The crowd outside was silent, surprised by the act. Ethan had saved the prince again, even when it was not required. Zyrak looked at Ethan with new eyes. "You are not just a human. You are strong and kind. I underestimated you." Ethan nodded. Strength is not only in power, it is also in helping others. Together they reached the center of the maze. The glowing crystal waited for them. They touched it at the same time. The crowd cheered loudly. The trial was complete. Back on the station, the two sat together. Zyrak spoke quietly. "I have learned much from you, Ethan. You have shown me that true strength is many things. It is courage, patience, kindness, and wisdom." Ethan smiled. "We all have much to learn from each other. Together, we can make the galaxy better." The story of the quiet human and the proud alien was not just about challenge and victory. It was about respect, understanding, and friendship. The stars outside the space station shone brighter. The future looked full of hope for Earth, for the alien worlds, and for all who would meet in peace. The great space station floated silently in the vastness of space. The stars shimmered around it, a reminder of the many worlds waiting to be explored and understood. Inside, the story of Ethan, the quiet human, and Prince Zyrak, the proud alien royal, had reached a turning point. What began as mockery had grown into respect and something much more. After the trial of shadows, the atmosphere on the station changed. No longer was Ethan seen as just a simple human. Nobles and leaders whispered about his calm strength and quiet courage. The once loud and arrogant Prince Zyrak had become thoughtful, learning that pride alone could not win battles or friendships. One evening, in the grand hall where many important meetings were held, Zyrak stood before the crowd. His silver skin caught the soft lights, but his eyes were different now, less sharp with arrogance and more gentle with understanding. "My friends," he said, his voice steady, "we have all witnessed something new. A human has shown us that strength is not only in power or speed, but in patience, wisdom, and kindness. We must learn to see beyond what we expect." The nobles listened quietly. Some nodded. Others smiled. The old walls of pride and judgment began to break. After the speech, Zyrak looked for Ethan. He found the human quietly standing near a window, gazing at the stars. "Ethan," Zyrak said softly, "thank you for teaching me. I once mocked you, but now I see your people with new eyes." Ethan turned and smiled. "Thank you, Zyrak. I came here to represent Earth, not with weapons or loud words, but with respect and hope. I believe we can work together." The two stood side by side, looking out at the endless sky. It was a moment of peace and new beginnings. Over the next weeks, Ethan and Zyrak worked together. They shared ideas, helped each other understand their cultures, and built plans for the future. Earth's simple but strong ways mixed with alien technology and experience. Many on the station began to follow their example. New friendships formed. Old enemies found common ground. The galaxy was changing. One day, a message came from Earth's leaders. They asked Ethan to return home, but Ethan shook his head. "My place is here now, to help build a better future with friends like Zyrak." Zyrak smiled. "And I will be by your side." Together they formed a new council, one where humans and aliens worked as equals. Their goal was peace, learning, and growth for all species. The story of the 22-year-old alien royal who mocked the human ended not with hate or battle, but with understanding and friendship. It showed that true power comes from respect and the courage to change. As the stars shone outside the great space station, the future was bright. The galaxy was wide, full of mystery and challenge. But now, with new allies and open minds, it held promise for all. Ethan and Zerak knew this was only the beginning. Together they would face whatever came next, stronger, wiser, and united.